Welcome. Today's project's all about the secret to your anxiety recovery. If you're like my old self, suffering from anxiety every day, waking up, catastrophizing, whether this pain is an illness, a serious illness, whether you're going to faint from having a panic attack at work, whether you're going to perform properly at work and you're afraid of not getting enough sleep because you were up all night worrying, ruminating. Well, your anxiety response must be active all the time, 24/7, the fight or flight response. Now, the secret to overcoming anxiety, to getting to the next stage in your life, the one that's more mindful, calm, relaxed, confident, well, you have to venture out into the place where you least want to look, that you are continuously avoiding. Think of the King Arthur story where his knights of the Round Table and himself go venturing out into the woods, into the forest to find the Holy Grail. But where did they look? Well, they decided to look in the place of the forest that's most darkest to them. But you'd think, why would they do that? It's because they realized and understood that the thing that they most value is in the place that's dark, that's uncomfortable, that's fearful, and it's in the place that's most fearful to them. It's in the darkest place. So they understood that to get to that Holy Grail, they have to venture into the place that makes them uncomfortable and that is scary. So that's really something to think about. So anxiety is the fear of the uncertainty, the fear of the unknown, waking up and ruminating over that potential illness because of that pain, the uncomfortable sensations. So it's the uncertainty that anxiety sufferers constantly ruminate and obsess over. So anxiety sufferers are stuck in the unknown, that chaotic state, the fight or flight response. They're in that chaotic state. And think of it as a tree where, there's this underlying issue that's really the root of the problem, but then it branches off into all of these catastrophic thoughts. Anxiety triggers a lot of bodily sensations, and then all those sensations can be easily misinterpreted, and you can easily snowball to a severe anxiety disorder. Now think of the word disorder. Disorder. So an anxiety sufferer needs to add more order into their life so that they can find the path necessary, right? So that they can walk the path that is mindful, confident, and meaningful, right? So they're stuck in this disorder. They need to add that order so that they can start to live a more meaningful and neutral life. Anxiety sufferers have up and down emotions. They're very happy and then they're very anxious and overwhelmed. We want to mediate between the two. We want to find that neutral zone, right? So think of disorder, and we got to add that order into your life, okay? So when we're in that comfortable scenario, when we're in our safe zone, when we're at home, we're in the known territory. We're in a place that is familiar to us. And when we're in that known territory, our parasympathetic nervous system is mostly active, right? We feel calm and relaxed. That's our rest and digest system. So when we're in our safe zone, which anxiety sufferers tend to stay at, it's predictable. We know the outcome. We're in our house. That's our known territory. But placing a new rat in a new cage, or placing a cat in a new house or an apartment, what happens? The cat becomes overwhelmed because it's been moved from its known territory to the unknown. So it has to walk around, sniff each corner, find the hiding spots, and get used to this new area so that it can relax and calm itself. But it can't be calm unless it ventures off into every nook and cranny of that apartment, of that house, right? So I'll give you an example. When I went to a cabin with Maggie one time, I was unable to sleep the first night. We were in this cabin, we were far from home, and it was great. We were having a good time. But when it came to falling asleep, I couldn't get to sleep because part of my brain was on high alert because I was in unknown territory. What if, an intruder comes in? What if, something happens? And I was just on high alert because I was placed in this unknown territory. I wasn't able to sleep. It's not like I didn't feel safe, but part of me wanted to remain on high alert because who knows what would happen, right? I was in unfamiliar territory. It's like you're not gonna find the best sleep in a hotel room, right? When you go on vacation the first few nights, because you're in a totally new location. You're in that unfamiliar territory. Part of your anxiety systems are active, are awake, right? So the secret to your anxiety recovery is to place yourself in uncomfortable scenarios. This is where the secret lies. To place yourself in those uncomfortable scenarios and to expose yourself to what you fear the most. You want to train your mind to find this situation to be not a threat, right? Because your brain is avoiding and you're unconsciously avoiding those situations that you fear the most that make you mostly uncomfortable. But the trick is to expose yourself to these situations so that you can desensitize yourself, so that you can attach safety to those experiences. That's the secret. So there's ways you can go about this. One is practice mindfulness meditation, practice body scan meditations. Now, somebody suffering from health anxiety, they are fearful about the sensations in their body, the heart palpitations, the unusual pains in your stomach, your chest, the headache. All of these sensations overwhelm a health anxiety sufferer. So when you engage in a body scan meditation, what happens? Well, you're starting to familiarize yourself with the sensation, but the trick is to not attach that label to the sensation, just to sit with it, just to experience it, not attaching those fearful labels, but to get comfortable with the sensation. And that's voluntarily subjecting yourself to the things you fear the most. That sensation, you're fearing that sensation, but when you engage in mindful meditations, you're facing that sensation head on. You're not attaching that label, but experiencing it, going into complete acceptance mode. And that's one of the things that blew me away when I was overcoming my anxiety, was being in that acceptance mode. I'm just going to sit with my sensations. I'm not going to, continue attaching these horrible labels to it, but I'm going to just go in complete acceptance mode. I'm just going to feel everything. I'm just going to experience it because I've had enough reacting emotionally strong every day to these sensations. I'm just going to experience it. I'm just going to accept it. Because when our anxiety response are active, it takes over all other brain processes. It takes over, and it's hard to think your way out of a panic attack. But when you go into complete acceptance mode and just sit with it, you're going to find that these sensations are there, but not as powerful. They're not as emotional. You're not as emotionally reactive towards them. It's a very powerful way. It's a very powerful technique. Okay, so it's all about developing these tools to overcome your anxiety. These tools help you to move yourself away from the unknown territory and to handle the unknown. Because anxiety sufferers, like I said before, are in that unknown, chaotic territory. These tools help you navigate yourself through that unknown territory. So the second technique and strategy is to engage in systematic desensitization. Now, if you don't know what systematic desensitization is, it's gradual step-by-step exposure to what you fear the most. So if you're fearing a concert hall or the mall, what you need to do is to gradually work your way step by step to that experience. So say I was fearful of going to the mall. So what I need to do is to watch videos of people walking around the mall. Engage in a visualization exercise of myself, visualizing myself at the mall, walking around with confidence, breathing properly with a smile, and engaging with the people around me. So imagining yourself in that scenario, watching videos of people at the mall, looking at a picture of the mall, going to the mall in the parking lot and standing outside the mall. And then maybe the next day you kind of move closer to the entrance of the mall. And then the next day you walk in the mall, you peek your head in for a moment, for about a few minutes. So gradually building up to the experience of walking around in the mall and feeling the uncomfortable sensations, but you feel better. You're braver than you were before. That's the key to this exercise, is to become braver, right? You want to become braver. You want to understand. Well, it's important to understand that this process is about hardening your mind. That's the process. You want to harden your mind and keep exposing yourself to these uncomfortable scenarios. And number 3 is flooding, directly placing yourself in that feared environment. Instead of working your way up like systematic desensitization, you just go and place yourself directly in that scenario. And I'll give you an example. If you don't know my story about the panic attack at the art gallery, which is in one of my podcast episodes, I had a panic attack at the art gallery, and then I did this technique where, I ran out of the environment the first time, but I went back to the art gallery the next time. And what happened was I still felt anxious, overwhelmed, but I was able to stay there. I was a little bit braver, right? It was uncomfortable, but it's important that you stay in the environment and not run away. So I've had people say, tell me, I've been exposing myself to uncomfortable scenarios, but I still feel anxious. And I always say to them, well, you're not doing it enough. You're not doing it enough. If you have to go back to that mall, that art gallery, 20 more times to desensitize yourself, that's what you're going to have to do. You have to keep going back to the environment where the environment you fear the most, and keep exposing yourself over and over and over again, until one day where I went back to the art gallery, my anxiety was at a level 3. Before it was at a level 9 and 10. Now, each time I exposed myself to that feared event, it kept lessening and lessening. I was attaching safety to the environment, that this place isn't a threat. That's what's going on in your brain. It's attaching safety each time you expose yourself. But if you have to do it 50 times, do it 50 times. What's happening is that you're becoming braver each time you expose yourself. That's the secret, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment and leave a like. I would really appreciate it. And remember, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that bell so that whenever a new video of mine appears, you will be the first to know. Namaste.